The silent victory. The Galactic Council chambers had never witnessed such celebration. Representatives from 47 species filled the massive amphitheater, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of triumph. Clicking mandibles, pulsing bioluminescent patterns, harmonic vibrations, and telepathic waves all conveyed the same message. Humanity was gone. High Counselor Zethkar, a towering crystalline being whose faceted body reflected the chamber's light in prismatic patterns, raised one of his 4 arms for silence. The celebration gradually died down as thousands of eyes, sensors, and perception organs focused on him. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Zethkar's voice resonated through both audio speakers and neural transmitters. "Today marks the dawn of a new age. The human plague has been eradicated from our universe." The response was immediate and overwhelming. The Velthari delegation released clouds of euphoric pheromones, their insectoid forms trembling with joy. The aquatic merganth splashed in their environmental suits, their song speech reaching frequencies that made the chamber's walls vibrate. Even the normally stoic Kron warriors allowed themselves guttural roars of approval. Counselor Ythara, speaking for the reptilian Sarn Confederation, slithered forward on her serpentine lower body. The efficiency of the operation exceeded all projections. Not a single human vessel escaped the simultaneous strikes across their colonies. "Indeed," confirmed General Thaxmore of the militant Ordani Empire, his 6 arms gesturing emphatically. "Our combined fleets coordinated perfectly. Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, and all 847 human settlements were sterilized within a 72-hour window. The humans' own communication networks worked against them. They couldn't warn each other fast enough." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing the former human territories. Where once blue and green dots had indicated thriving colonies, now only red markers remained, signifying complete orbital bombardment and surface sterilization. Dr. Kesaani, the Council's chief xenobiologist, floated forward in her translation sphere filled with methane atmosphere. The biological scans confirmed total extinction. We detected no human genetic material, no survivors in hidden bunkers, no escape pods that managed to flee the attacks. After 3 standard galactic months of monitoring, we can declare with 99.97% certainty that Homo sapiens has been completely eliminated from the universe. The crowd erupted again. This time, even the most reserved species joined in the celebration. The fungal network beings released spores of joy, while the energy-based flux entities pulsed with satisfaction. Zethkar's expression would have been unreadable to humans, but his fellow council members could detect the deep satisfaction in his crystalline structure's harmonic resonance. Let us review why this action was necessary, so that future generations understand the wisdom of our decision. Another hologram appeared, this one showing human expansion over their brief 400-year space age. The display began with a single blue dot representing Earth, then exploded outward in an aggressive red wave that consumed system after system. When humans first achieved faster-than-light travel, Zethkar continued, they seemed like any other young species, curious, energetic, perhaps a bit reckless. We welcomed them into the galactic community as we have welcomed 200 species before them. The hologram shifted to show peaceful first contact scenarios, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. Many council members nodded, remembering those hopeful early days. But humans were different. Where other species expanded slowly, carefully establishing sustainable colonies, humans bred like a virus. Their population growth was exponential, their resource consumption unlimited. Within 50 years of first contact, they had established more colonies than some species build in a millennium. The display now showed human territory as a growing cancer, spreading across previously pristine systems. Asteroid belts stripped bare for raw materials, Gas giants surrounded by massive harvesting operations, entire moons converted into industrial complexes. Counselor Velmoth, representing the ancient and wise ethereal collective, projected thoughts of solemn agreement. Their hunger was insatiable. They consumed everything: minerals, energy, living space. Worse, they began to view other species' worlds with the same predatory gaze. The final straw, General Thaxamore added, his mandibles clicking with remembered anger, was their manifest destiny doctrine. They actually believed it was their right, their evolutionary destiny, to claim the entire galaxy. They spoke of other species as obstacles to human progress and inefficient users of cosmic resources. A new series of images showed human military buildups, weapon factories, and most damning of all, intercepted communications discussing the eventual human hegemony over all galactic civilization. Dr. Kesani's analysis added the scientific perspective. Their psychology was fundamentally incompatible with peaceful coexistence. Where other species eventually reach population equilibrium, humans showed no such natural limitation. Our projections indicated that within 500 years, human population and resource demands would have triggered galaxy-wide ecological collapse. The mathematical models were stark and terrifying. Population curves that shot straight up, resource depletion timelines that gave civilizations only decades before collapse, and territorial expansion that would have forced dozens of species into extinction through habitat loss alone. We offered alternatives, Zethkar reminded the assembly. Population controls, territorial limitations, supervised expansion with environmental safeguards. The human governments agreed to these measures in public while secretly continuing their unlimited growth policies. Intelligence reports filled the display now. Hidden human colonies beyond their declared borders, secret military shipyards, breeding programs designed to maximize population growth, and most troubling, research into weapons capable of cracking planets and exterminating entire species. The evidence was overwhelming. Humanity hadn't just been expanding, they had been preparing for war on a galactic scale. The decision was not made lightly, Counselor Yathara said, her forked tongue tasting the air as she spoke. We spent 3 years in deliberation, consulted with our greatest philosophers and strategists, and explored every possible alternative. In the end, General Thaxamore concluded grimly, it came down to simple mathematics. 47 established civilizations with a combined population of 2.7 trillion sentient beings, or one aggressive species of 400 billion humans who threatened us all. The choice, when presented so starkly, seemed obvious to every being in the chamber. The celebration resumed, more subdued now, but no less triumphant. Delegates began making plans for the redistribution of former human territories. The resource-rich systems that humans had been greedily harvesting could now be properly managed. The planets they had terraformed could be restored to more natural states or shared among species that would treat them with respect. Let today be remembered as the day the galaxy chose wisdom over sentiment, Zethkar declared. The day we prevented a cosmic catastrophe through decisive action. As the council session concluded and delegates began filing out, there was a palpable sense of relief throughout the chamber. The human threat was over. The galaxy was safe. Civilization could continue to evolve and flourish without the shadow of human aggression hanging over it. In the weeks that followed, cleanup crews would finish sterilizing the former human worlds. Monitoring stations would confirm that no hidden human bases existed in unexplored systems. Trade would resume along routes that humans had made dangerous with their aggressive patrols. The universe had returned to its natural order. The Watchers in the Void. Admiral Sarah Chen floated in zero gravity, staring out at the stars through the reinforced viewport of the command deck. Around her, the massive space station hummed with quiet activity. No running lights betrayed its presence. No communication signals leaked into space. For all intents and purposes, Station Lazarus was a ghost. "Admiral," came a soft voice behind her. Commander Rodriguez, her second-in-command, approached with a datapad in hand. "We're receiving the final confirmation signals from the other stations." Sarah turned, her weathered face showing the strain of the past 3 months. "How many made it?" "All of them, ma'am. Stations Prometheus, Icarus, Phoenix, Odyssey, and the 12 smaller outposts. Total population, 2.3 million humans." Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the weight of those numbers. 2.3 million survivors out of 400 billion. Less than 1% of their entire species had made it to safety before the Council's attack began. "The Council was thorough," Rodriguez continued, his voice carefully neutral. "We monitored their sweep patterns. They found and destroyed every official human installation, every registered colony, every military base in the public records." "But they didn't find us." Sarah's voice carried grim satisfaction. "Because officially, we don't exist." The Lazarus Project had been humanity's deepest secret, known only to a handful of military leaders and scientists. While the public believed humans were expanding rapidly but randomly, the truth was far more calculated. For every visible colony, there was a hidden one. For every registered military base, there was a shadow installation built in the deep dark between stars. "Ma'am," another voice called from across the command center. Lieutenant Park, barely 25 years old but already one of their best intelligence analysts, was hunched over her workstation. "You need to see this." Sarah and Rodriguez drifted over to Park's station, where multiple screens showed intercepted Council communications. The translation software was working overtime to convert dozens of alien languages into readable text. "They're already dividing up our territory," Park explained, highlighting various communication threads. "The Velthari want our agricultural worlds. The Krone are claiming our military installations for scrap metal. The Ordani are arguing over mining rights to the asteroid belts we developed." Sarah watched the alien discussions with growing anger. These beings were picking over humanity's corpse like vultures, arguing over who got which piece of their former civilization. "There's more," Park continued, switching to another screen. "Intelligence reports from their cleanup operations. They're being very thorough about making sure we're extinct." The reports made for chilling reading. Council forces were systematically destroying every trace of human presence, not just the settlements and infrastructure, but libraries, art galleries, museums. They were attempting to erase humanity from history itself. "Look at this," Park highlighted a particularly disturbing communication. "This is from the Ethereal Collective's Historical Committee. They're debating whether to even record that humans existed. Some of them want to pretend we never happened at all." Rodriguez cursed under his breath. "They're not just committing genocide. They're trying to commit what the old philosophers called ontological murder, erasing our very existence from reality." Sarah's jaw tightened. The Council's attack had been bad enough, but this systematic erasure was something else entirely. It spoke to a level of fear and hatred that ran deeper than mere territorial disputes. "Admiral," came another voice from the communications station, "we're receiving a priority message from Station Phoenix. Director Hassan wants to speak with you immediately." Sarah nodded. "Put him through on the secure channel." Dr. Amara Hassan's face appeared on the main screen. The brilliant scientist looked older than her 40 years, the stress of recent events having carved new lines around her eyes. Behind her, Sarah could see the laboratories and workshops of Phoenix Station, humanity's most advanced research facility. "Sarah," Hassan began without preamble, "I need to show you something. We've been analyzing the Council's attack patterns, trying to understand how they found all our installations so quickly." A new display appeared on the screen, showing a three-dimensional map of former human space. Red indicators marked every location the Council had attacked. They had perfect intelligence, Hassan continued. Not just about our major colonies, but about secret military bases, hidden research stations, even classified refugee shelters that were supposed to be completely off the books. Sarah studied the map with growing unease. Are you saying we had a traitor? Worse than that. Hassan's expression was grim. We had multiple traitors. The coordination required for this level of betrayal, it had to come from the highest levels of human government. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. They helped the Council plan this? Not just plan it, they guided it. Look at this. Hassan highlighted specific attack patterns. The timing was perfect to prevent any warning systems from functioning. The Council knew exactly which targets to hit first to cripple our communications. They knew which evacuation routes we'd try to use. Rodriguez was studying the data with professional interest. This level of operational security breach, it would require cooperation from multiple cabinet-level officials, senior military commanders, intelligence directors, all of whom are now conveniently dead, Park observed quietly, killed in the attacks they helped plan. Sarah felt sick. The scope of the betrayal was staggering. Humans had helped orchestrate their own extinction. Why? She asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer. Hassan's response was bitter. Fear? Politics? Personal gain? We found communications suggesting that certain human leaders were promised positions in the new galactic order, governorships over former human territories, rewards for their cooperation. They actually believed the Council would honor those agreements? Apparently so. Right up until the orbital bombardments started hitting their luxury bunkers along with everyone else's. The command deck fell silent as the full weight of the betrayal sank in. Humanity hadn't just been defeated by superior alien technology. They'd been sold out by their own leaders. There's something else, Hassan continued. We've been monitoring Council cleanup operations, and we've noticed something interesting. They're being incredibly thorough about biological contamination protocols. Meaning? They're terrified of human diseases, human genetics, even human culture, spreading to their populations. The level of sterilization they're using goes far beyond military necessity. They're treating us like we're some kind of cosmic plague. Sarah considered this information. Fear could be a powerful weapon, if properly exploited. Director Hassan, I want you to compile everything we have on Council psychology, biology, and social structures. Rodriguez, get me detailed reports from all the other stations. I want to know our exact capabilities, population, resources, manufacturing capacity, weapons systems. Ma'am, Rodriguez asked carefully, are you planning what I think you're planning? Sarah turned back to the viewport, staring out at the stars that had once been filled with human ships, human voices, human dreams. Now they belonged to the species that had orchestrated humanity's extinction. The Council thinks they've won, she said quietly. They think they've eliminated the threat. They're celebrating their victory and dividing up our territory like they've already conquered it. She turned back to her officers, and they could see something dangerous in her eyes, something that would have terrified the Council members if they could have seen it. They made one critical mistake, Sarah continued. They assumed that what they could see was all that existed. They found our civilization, but they never found our contingency plans. Admiral, Park asked. The Council's entire strategy was based on the belief that humans were overly aggressive, overly numerous, and expanding too quickly. They saw us as a plague that needed to be eliminated before we could spread further. Sarah smiled, but there was no warmth in it. They never considered the possibility that we might have been holding back. That what they saw of human expansion was just the tip of the iceberg. That while they were monitoring our public colonies and counting our registered ships, we were building something else entirely in the dark spaces between stars. The command deck began to buzz with nervous energy as her meaning became clear. "Ma'am," Rodriguez said slowly, "are you suggesting we reveal the Shadow Fleet?" "I'm suggesting," Sarah replied, "that it's time to show the Council what humanity looks like when we're not playing by civilized rules. They wanted to eliminate us because they were afraid of what we might become." She gestured toward the hidden station around them, toward the concealed weapon systems and secret technologies that the Council had never suspected existed. The Ghost Fleet rises. The Velthari harvesting ship. Prosperity's song was making excellent progress through what had once been the human agricultural sector. Captain Vexthori clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as his crew loaded the final containers of grain from the abandoned farming station. The humans had been remarkably efficient farmers. It would take years to process all the food they had left behind. "Captain," his sensor operator buzzed from her station, "I'm detecting some unusual readings from the asteroid field." Vexathori's compound eyes focused on the display. The asteroid field had been one of humanity's mining operations, but it had been thoroughly sterilized 3 months ago. Nothing should be moving out there except dead rock. Define unusual. Thermal signatures. Very faint, but definitely artificial. And, "Captain, I think something just moved." Before Vexathori could respond, space around his ship suddenly filled with light. Not the harsh glare of weapon fire, but the soft blue glow of engine systems coming online. Dozens of them. Hundreds. The asteroids weren't asteroids at all. Ships began detaching from their rocky camouflage, revealing sleek designs unlike anything in the human military databases. These vessels were smaller than the old human dreadnoughts, but they moved with predatory grace that made Vexathori's insectoid nervous system fire warning signals throughout his body. "Communications!" he barked. "Emergency transmission to Council Fleet Command! Unknown vessels in sector!" The communications array exploded in a shower of sparks. The weapons that destroyed it had been so precise that the targeting sensors hadn't even detected the incoming fire. On the main display, one of the mysterious ships drifted closer. It was roughly the size of a human destroyer, but its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, and weapon ports that definitely weren't in any Council database. A transmission came through on an open channel. The voice that spoke was human, but there was something different about it. Something that made Vexathori's carapace itch with primitive fear. "Velthari vessel. Prosperity's song. You are trespassing in human space." Vexathori found his voice. "Human space no longer exists. Your species is extinct." There was a pause, then what sounded like laughter. Not the pleasant laughter of human entertainment broadcasts, but something darker. "Extinct? Is that what they told you?" The display changed, showing a tactical overview of the system. Red indicators appeared everywhere, on moons and asteroid belts hidden behind gas giant magnetospheres. Hundreds of ships, thousands. "We've been watching you pick through our leftovers for 3 months now," the voice continued. "Watching the Council divide up our territory like we're already gone. It's been educational." More ships were appearing throughout the system, not just the sleek destroyers, but massive vessels that dwarfed anything the humans had built before their supposed extinction. Carriers that launched swarms of fighters, battle stations that had been disguised as space debris. Industrial ships that began deploying structures Vexthori couldn't identify. "This is impossible," he whispered. "The Council destroyed all human installations." "They destroyed all the installations they knew about." The human voice carried an undertone of satisfaction. "Unfortunately for them, they never found the ones that mattered." Across human space, similar scenes were playing out. Council vessels that had been peacefully harvesting resources suddenly found themselves surrounded by ships that shouldn't exist. Mining operations discovered that the dead asteroids they were processing were actually dormant weapons platforms. Scientific expeditions found that their research sites were being watched by invisible observers. On the Council homeworld, emergency sessions were being called as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The impossible was happening. Humanity was back. High Counselor Zethkar stood in the emergency command center, his crystalline form flickering with stress patterns as data streams poured in from hundreds of systems. "How many ships are we talking about?" he asked General Thaxmore. "Initial estimates suggest—" Thaxmore hesitated. "Conservative estimates put their fleet strength at triple what we destroyed 3 months ago." "Triple?" Dr. Kessiani's translation sphere quivered with shock. "That's impossible! Our biological scans confirmed complete extinction." "Apparently our scans were wrong," General Thaxmore replied grimly. "These aren't the same humans we fought before. Their technology has advanced significantly. These ships are using power sources and weapon systems we don't recognize." A new hologram materialized in the center of the command room. It showed Admiral Sarah Chen, but she looked different from the human military leaders they had negotiated with before. Her uniform was black instead of the traditional human blue and gold. Her eyes held a coldness that seemed to cut through the display. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, commander of the Lazarus Fleet. I believe we need to talk." Zethkar's harmonic patterns shifted to frequencies associated with deep unease. "The Lazarus Fleet? We have no records of any such human organization?" Sarah's smile was razor-sharp. "You wouldn't. Lazarus was humanity's shadow navy, built in secret, hidden in the dark, designed for exactly this situation." "You're bluffing," General Thaxmore growled. "Even if you have some hidden ships, you cannot stand against the combined might of 47 species." The display changed, showing tactical information that made every being in the command center fall silent. Fleet positions, defensive installations, supply lines, patrol routes. The humans had detailed intelligence on every aspect of Council military operations. "3 months ago," Sarah continued, "you committed genocide against my species. You killed 400 billion human beings, including children, elderly, civilians who had never raised a hand against anyone." The accusations hung in the air like a poisonous cloud. "But here's the thing about humans that you never understood. We're not just aggressive. We're not just numerous. We're adaptive. And when you push us to the edge of extinction, we don't just roll over and die." New images appeared on the display. Massive industrial complexes hidden in the void between stars, shipyards that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built, research stations working on technologies that seemed to bend physics itself. "While you were congratulating yourselves on eliminating the human threat, we've been working, building, planning. The 2 million survivors of your genocide have spent every waking moment of the last 3 months preparing for this day." Counselor Yathara slithered forward. "What do you want? What are your terms?" Sarah's expression didn't change. "Terms? You seem to misunderstand the situation. This isn't a negotiation." The tactical display zoomed out, showing the entire galaxy. Red indicators marked human forces, and they were everywhere. Not just in former human space, but throughout Council territory. Hidden in systems that had never seen human ships. Lying dormant in asteroid belts, gas giant clouds, and the gravitational shadows of black holes. For the past 3 months, you've been living in what you thought was a galaxy cleansed of human contamination. The truth is, you've been surrounded. Every major Council world has human assets within striking distance. Every fleet base, every industrial center. The magnitude of the infiltration was staggering. The humans had somehow positioned forces throughout Council space without being detected. The old humanity you killed was constrained by morality, by law, by a desire to coexist peacefully with other species, Sarah continued. We tried to follow your rules. We accepted your limitations. We played the civilization game according to your standards. Her expression hardened. That humanity is dead. You killed it. What remains is something you created through your own actions. We are the survivors of genocide. We are the remnants of a species that tried to be peaceful and was rewarded with extinction. The chamber erupted as delegates from various species began arguing, demanding action, calling for immediate military response. But the tactical displays made it clear that such responses would be futile. The humans were already in position. You wanted to eliminate the human threat because you were afraid of what we might become, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Congratulations! You succeeded beyond your wildest nightmares. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. The question now is simple. What happens next? Do we spend the next century fighting a war that will consume the galaxy? Do we teach you what total war really means? Or do we find another way? Zethkar managed to find his voice. What? What are you proposing? A new arrangement. You gave humanity a choice. Accept your limitations or die. You chose extinction for us. Now we're giving you a choice. The display changed one final time, showing detailed plans that made the council delegates gasp in recognition. Evacuation routes, relocation sites, territorial boundaries that would give each council species a fraction of what they currently controlled. You can accept a new reality where humanity takes its proper place in the galactic order. You can learn to coexist with a species that you tried and failed to exterminate. You can adapt to a galaxy where humans are no longer bound by the moral constraints that made us easy prey. Sarah leaned forward, and every being in the chamber could feel the weight of her gaze. Or you can continue to fight us and discover what happens when a species with nothing left to lose decides to remake the galaxy in its own image. The silence that followed was absolute. For the first time in galactic history, the Council faced a choice not of their own making. Outside, in the dark between stars, the Ghost Fleet waited. 2 million humans who had watched their entire civilization burn, who had spent 3 months preparing for this moment, who had been forged in the fire of genocide into something harder and more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council had wanted to eliminate the human threat. They had succeeded only in making it infinitely worse. Let's give them something to really be afraid of, and the Galaxy Council's member species could finally sleep peacefully, knowing that the most dangerous predator their galaxy had ever seen was extinct. Or so they believed. In the deepest reaches of space, where no Council sensors could detect them, where no civilized species had ever dared to venture, something stirred in the darkness. Something that had been waiting, watching, and preparing for exactly this moment. The real war was about to begin.